Are you ready to transform your normal e-commerce business into one that experiences exponential growth year after year using online advertising? If so, this show is for you. Me and my guests will show you how you too can grow your e-commerce business to 7 or even 8 figures so you can go on more luxurious vacations, spoil yourself and your family, say yes to more opportunities, and become financially free so you never have to worry about money again. Welcome to the E-commerce Performance Marketing Show. Welcome to the E-commerce Performance Marketing Show, and I have Mark Milutin here. He's going to be an incredible guest for you. He's going to deliver a ton of value, ton of content to you. He is essentially a customer retention master, which is why I brought him onto the podcast. And also on top of that, he can really help you in a variety of different ways. And we're really going to dive in and talk about all sorts of different strategies and tactics designed to help you with customer retention. So let me tell you a little bit about Mark. So Mark is the managing partner and CEO of Breadloaf, a digital agency that specializes in retention marketing. He has also been called upon by Shopify on multiple occasions. He's a regular Shopify guest on many Shopify webinars. So he truly is a master of e-commerce and a master of retention marketing. So I'm really excited to have him here on the show. He's worked with a ton of notable brands, companies like Mercedes, Dolce & Gabbana, Toyota Motors, Monster. His headset is Monster, United Airlines, Diff Eyewear, Inca Shoes, Flex Watches, and many others. So let's all welcome Mark to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Josh. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to be on the show today.
Yeah. Thanks for being on, man. If you could tell the audience just your origin story, like how did you get started? What's your background? How did you get into this e-commerce madness that we're in right now? If you could explain that'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually got into the e-commerce business by launching my own e-commerce venture back over 10 years ago. Back in 2009, 2010, I launched an e-commerce direct-to-consumer wine business called 𝐄-𝐂𝐈 Wine Club. And my theory behind the business was, e-commerce was opening up for wine due to the compliance and the regulation each state. So back in late 2000s, with all the regulations occurring and direct consumer becoming a bigger thing in the wine business, this was the first time that wineries were actually able to ship wine direct to your door. And before that, you could not ship alcohol, just wasn't possible. So I actually saw that this was a big trend happening. And also I went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo for school, and I was an ag business major and minored in wine and vit. And one of the things that I was doing when I was in school is I worked in the vineyard on campus in vineyard operations. And then I also managed a tasting room up in Paso Robles. And I had friends that also managed and worked in other tasting rooms. So I started realizing this type of culture shift of people going up to the wine country on the weekends and immersing themselves in wine culture, starting to be more familiar with wine, hearing and seeing, that wine consumption was on the rise, specifically with millennials, and also wine tourism was up. And we have had this massive shift in just thousands of wineries that have popped up throughout the whole US. And so I was seeing this shift and kind of seeing where consumer preferences were going, and also figuring out oh my God, there's a bunch of incredible wine that you can buy direct from these wineries. And the biggest problem they have is they're only selling in their tasting rooms. Most boutique wineries are only selling in their tasting rooms. They've got this incredible product. They're looking for ways to distribute and run it. And it's so hard to get distribution into boutique retail or even big box retail when you're a small producer. So saw this opportunity and I thought, hey, if I can build a big direct consumer wine club, people would much rather be a part of one wine club where they're getting a bunch of different wines than signing up for 10 or 12 memberships. What I noticed is managing a tasting room is so many people are like, oh my God, I love this wine, but we're already members of 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 other clubs, and it's just too much wine. So that was my theory. Got a partner, raised some money, went off into it and got the licensing, had a little warehouse office space in LA. And essentially I was moonlighting that while I was also working as a producer in entertainment production and for a handful of different ad agencies in LA. And so I was running that on the weekends. I was literally going to my warehouse after work, packaging orders, getting back at home, getting ads running like in the early days of PPC, in the early days of Facebook, and then getting email campaigns rolling. And on the weekends, we were doing events. And so it was just like hustle culture. And after 5.5 years of doing this, I was really burned out and I needed a change. And I just realized that I was in a market that did not have a good product market fit. Wine was expensive to ship. It was low margin and it was extremely difficult to acquire customers. Really? And, you know, there were some months that we made money, some months we lost, some months we broke even. I'm happy to say that when we shut down the company, like we paid off all of our vendors, everyone walked away, and it was all taken care of. There was like no bad blood, or I didn't leave anyone hanging, and I really pride myself on that. But yeah, segue into that, I shut that down. Like I said, I was working as a producer for big ad agencies during the day, getting a lot of experience working on big digital projects, anything from website build outs to media campaigns. And then I actually came on board. Two of my buddies sold their e-commerce startup and started an agency in LA called Self Venture Labs. Came on board with them to be their director of ops, their first employee, and went to town. We started building that. We were working with a lot of big brands, some VC firms in LA, and had a lot of fun with that, but I was burned out. I literally gave it the agency grind. I was working like 14 hours a day, sitting client reports at like midnight. And at the end of the day, it wasn't my company, you know, and I was really burned out. I really was passionate about what we were doing and the results we're getting in the clients, but I didn't have any creativity left. And so I ended up leaving that company and that agency and started doing some consulting. And after, a few months, I had a full-time perma-lance consulting gig with an on-demand startup here in LA running all of their marketing. And then I was freelancing at night. And at one point I was actually making more money with my freelance clients in the evenings than I was with my full-time perma-lance gig. And I finally was like, I need to choose, what do I want to do? I can't manage this anymore. Like I'm maxed out at capacity. So I was like, this is what I was made to do. I know how to do this. I was running an agency for years, worked for agencies for years, and then went on. And, that was about 5 years ago, and started the company as Davos Digital and then rebranded as Breadloaf a few years ago. And here we are. Through all of this. Man. Yeah. Thank you. Through all of this, we really found ourselves as retention marketing experts. So when I say that we manage and execute everything from the strategy planning, copywriting, design, campaign management, build out, execution, reporting for scaling e-commerce brands that are doing anywhere from $1 million to $30 million a year. And we're managing their email, their SMS, and their automation. And that's what we focus on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Those are very important mediums, obviously, that businesses, especially e-commerce businesses, need to leverage. So, that's a very valuable service that you guys are providing. I got a number of questions here. For one, I just had to say, the fact that you worked around wine, let's be honest with the audience here. Did you ever indulge one day or another on some of the products you were around?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because we would run into these situations where it's like, what they always say to drug dealers, like, don't get high on your own supply. And there would be times where I'd be like, I'm going to take a couple bottles out of here and enjoy it on the weekends. But that's why people get in the wine business. Like, if you do not enjoy wine, like, it's really, if you can't, like, if you're that disciplined and you can't stop yourself from taking home a couple of good bottles, like, you get into it because you truly are passionate about it and you really enjoy it. And I had a lot of fun, and the wine culture was great. The events, and it was great. But like I said, it was a grind. It was a grind. And
sounds like it.
Yeah, when you talk about product market fit in e-commerce, like, what are the things we're always looking for? Good margin. Yeah. We're looking at scalability. We're looking at a unique value prop. We're looking at having a unique niche and audience that we can target. And even though we have winos, we have people that are interested in wine, like, we do have niches here, like, wine for the most part is commoditized. And the reason that people buy is purely off of taste and preference and price being the first thing. And I did not want to be in a business that was relying upon price. And unfortunately, most 95% plus of the market is like under $15 a bottle. And you can't make money off that. You know, as you know, in e-commerce, we got to be selling with an average order value of at least $50 to make money. So
totally, man. Yeah.
It was tough. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you. You know, how does a company like Wink, for example, you know, because I know Wink is fairly successful, I believe.
Yeah.
How do they do it then? Because it sounds like it's a very challenging, you know, type of business to create. How are they successful?
Yes. Very good question. So it's actually funny you bring up Wink, because at the same time, I was working out of my small little office in downtown San Pedro in Los Angeles near the port with my warehouse. Wink was actually working out of a small little closet outside of Denver. And they were running into the same problems I was. And I was telling my partner at the time, I'm like, listen, if we're going to do this, we're going to have to raise some money. And why do we have to raise some money? Because the most important thing you'll ever do is try to acquire customers, right?
Right.
You need money for customer acquisition. And being bootstrapped, it was extremely difficult with the low margin wine business. Our margins were anywhere from, 40 to 50%. As you know, in e-commerce, we need those margins to be at least 70, 75.
Yep.
So we didn't have the money to acquire customers and be profitable on the front end of the sale, getting new wine club members into our program. And what Wink's been able to do, which is exactly what I was telling my partner and kind of telling him what we had to do at the time, was first off, raise a lot of money. And then second of all, bring production internally and essentially control everything. So Wink is a direct consumer wine business. They control everything. They have a master winemaker, Ryan Zudovich, that I actually went to college with at 𝐂-𝐈 and they have a team that's making all the wine for them. They don't own the grapes. They don't own the wineries. They use custom crush facilities. They have a marketing team that's designing and creating all their different brands and labels. And they're really good at customer acquisition, and they're really good at retention. But at the end of the day, they had to raise a lot of money to scale.
Yeah, they're still raising money.
And they're still raising money. If you look, they have it on their website. Exactly. And, their model they've crushed, customer acquisition on the digital end for years now. And now their model is like getting in the big box and creating this omnichannel approach that's just more than their online business, because they've realized that you can only sell so much. And Wink, Wink is the biggest wine club in the world. They are the biggest. They are by far the biggest. And, you're hitting a critical mass, and they've had to evolve the businesses. They've hit critical mass, but it's unique to see what they've done. And I've been very closely following them over the years, just because I was in the business.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, we did, so I had someone come on to my show, Brenda Mendez, former COO of Snow Teeth Whitening.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and her and I did like a Wink breakdown. Basically, we broke down their branding and went through their website, and that's why Wink came to mind when you told your story. And that's why I brought that up. Yeah. So, but I got to ask though too. Like, so you shut your doors. You closed your business. That had to be tough. Like, how did you go through that process? How did you finally pull the plug? Or were there some lessons maybe that came out of that you can maybe share with the audience? Because, there might be people in the audience that, are going through a business and they're just overwhelmed by their own business and they want to transition into a totally different business, maybe, and if they could learn from your experience, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it was one of the hardest times in my life when I went through this transition, because I still remember it was in January that I actually finally finished closing down the wine business. And I approached my partner and I told him, I'm like, hey, I'm just not passionate about this. And I was like, we can work out a deal where you can buy, where you can take over my shares and continue running it. We can shut this down. Like, what do you want to do? I just couldn't do it anymore. And the main reason is customer acquisition. My team did not understand customer acquisition. My partner didn't. And it was, he just wasn't familiar with it. And I'm living and dying in this, working with helping scale big DTC brands during the day, and then working on my own brand at night. And it's tough for me to do this because I don't have full backing of my partner. And I love my old partner to death in that business. I learned so much from him, but it just came to the point where we had to shut it down and walk our separate ways. And during that same like 2-week period, I left that agency that I was working at before. And I was like, I just need a total reset. Mm-hmm. I hit a point where, you know, as you know, Josh, when you're running your own business, like there's a level of creativity that you just get throughout your blood, and it just like gives you life. And when you're an entrepreneur, like you thrive off that creativity. And what I realized is when I was working for someone else too, like that creativity was just shut down. I felt like I was in Soviet Russia, just like inability to think for myself because I'm just executing on someone else's plan. Right. And so that's how I felt a lot of the time. And I made the conscious moves to I was like, I need a reset. I need to re-evolve and rethink what I'm doing in my life, and fully committed to it, made it happen. Wasn't easy. It was super scary. But, you know, like with anything, I picked up a gig right away, a full-time permalance freelance job. And then I rebuilt, I built out a website, started putting some feelers out there. And right away, I got 2 clients. And actually, one of my first clients were 3 of my good friends are the founders of Diff Eyewear, the eyewear brand. Mm-hmm. And they were actually my second client. Mm-hmm. And it was I felt so great that they were bringing me on, and we did some amazing things. Like we were breaking records every Tuesday, every Thursday when we launched campaigns. And that was when influencer marketing was super hot, and we were doing some really, really killer things. This was awesome. Back 4 or 5 years ago. Yep. And and then my first client, which is actually a brand called Plane Tags and Moto Art, they make these luggage tags out of old iconic aircraft. They're still my client. Yeah. So they still have them. So it was awesome. It was a crazy time, but I'm so happy I did it. And just looking at the building blocks of where things are, really been able to hone in my craft over the time and really double down on finding what I'm really passionate about, which is helping entrepreneurs achieve what they never thought was possible, and doing that through helping them scale their DTC business.
Yeah, I love how, in that story that obviously it's challenging, stressful, you're breaking out of your comfort zone into the uncomfortable, and you're making lots of changes, which can obviously be very stressful. But the fact is that you went forward with it fearlessly, and you probably had, all the optimism, and you put it all on your back, and you kept telling yourself that you were going to make it happen. And you did. And I think that that's just very inspirational for anybody watching or listening to this, because if they're ever in a situation where they feel like they need to close their business, it's just isn't working out, whether it's financially or whether it's just happiness, you just don't have the passion for it. Whatever the case may be, there is a light on the other side. And, your story shows that anybody can really go through that transition and make it through that transition, very successfully. And now look where you're at now because you made that. Imagine if you stayed in that spot you were in, and you prolonged it, for years, and how that would have impacted, what's happened since. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity costs there, and also just a lot of loss of happiness that you would have probably gone through as well because of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If I didn't go through what I did, I definitely wouldn't be here. But at the same time, I think it's important in business that, people say this all the time, like anytime you go into business, you should have an exit strategy. What happens if it doesn't work out? Emotions aside, what happens if it doesn't work out? Well, and what's our plan? If it's just you, what's your plan? Is it a lifestyle business, cash flow business? Do you want to sell it, venture back, whatever it is? You have a partner, what's their goals? And then also, where are you going to be in 3 to 5 years if you have a partner? It's life might be different. People might have families. People might be wanting to retire. People might be sending kids to college. People might now have teenagers. There's a million things that will happen that's going to evolve. What is someone's spouse going to want in the future, and what are they going to want? I mean, I actually had a partner on Breadloaf, and I bought my business partner out of the company this last year. So, it was a very, very difficult process, but, I made it happen. You get thrown curveballs in business, and the thing that I will give biggest advice is just try not to get emotional with it. Just be like, this is business. You're building muscle memory. These things are going to happen to you. If you're in business, things are going to happen to you.
Yeah.
It is just the nature of it. You want to be good to people. You want to be a stand-up person. You want to be a good person, but just realize like bad things happen to good people. And in business, you can get emotional, cry, hide in a corner, stop doing things or you can take the bull by the horns and realize this is going to happen and I'm going to make it happen. So
yeah, nice. Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. So what's been your biggest e-com success to date?
Yeah. So, I talk about, there's a couple of brands that I'm just super, super proud of. One of them, of course, is Defy, where that's, a high 8-figure brand now that we had some really great success with. And then I've actually gone along with those guys to partner on another eyewear venture as well, which is a lot of fun. And apart from that, I got to say, really dialing in my retention program at Breadloaf, which we call Retention Labs. And that's something that we've really dialed in over the past year and a half. And that's an offering to help DTC brands that are doing $500,000 to $1 million a year minimum really start to scale their retention efforts. And we built this program with our team that comes in and pretty much becomes the retention marketing team, for these e-commerce brands. And we're really able to generate 40+% of a brand's revenue through automation, email, and SMS when we have the right client and the right systems and the right campaign cadence in order. And that's something that I really pride myself on.
Yeah, that's awesome. So maybe explain to the audience what your definition of retention marketing is. This way the audience can truly understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So retention marketing, which is also called lifecycle marketing, is I call it everything that's on the back end of your e-commerce business. So like I mentioned earlier, customer acquisition is one of the most expensive things you will ever do. And that's quoted by Dan Kennedy. And the reason is people aren't just going to come to you. You've got to bring them in. And once people come in, you've now invested time, whether you're hacking Instagram and you're building a big viral following, you're spending time doing that, right? If you've got a couple $1,000 a day Facebook ad budget, you're spending money on that. It doesn't matter where traffic's coming from, Essentially, there's 3 types of traffic. There's traffic you buy, you have Facebook, Google, programmatic, affiliate, whatever it is. There's traffic you earn, which is, PR, organic social, and then there's traffic you own. And so I like to consider the traffic you own is retention marketing. How do we take that traffic that we own, either through an email list, SMS list, even direct mail, your addresses, how do we take all of that data and then monetize that? And what we do is we do that by creating campaigns, launching the campaigns, and then leveraging that traffic that we're generating through those campaigns back to the site to remonetize existing customers and subscribers.
Nice. And that's huge because your bottom of the funnel, your customers, that's where the biggest profit is. And that really helps your overall business plus your advertising ROI as well.
Absolutely.
Which really feeds into our strategy, our process, the RM5 formula, with retargeting and really focusing on the bottom of the funnel with retargeting. So I love that you really specialize in that specific area because that's such a powerful area of a business that businesses need to really have their eye on and really take advantage of to be able to have the best possible business and the best possible result also from their advertising as well.
Absolutely. And I think once, brands become more strategic, once they can understand not only what their customer acquisition costs are, but what their repeat purchase rate is and what their customer lifetime value is. And what our goal is to increase repeat purchase and to double down on increasing lifetime value. Those are what's most important to me. And then also along the way, finding ways to also increase the retention, repeat purchase, AOV, and so forth. But those are some key metrics that we're looking at, and what we do apart from running these campaigns, we also build out on automation. So we're 𝐂-𝐶 partners, and we specialize in building out welcome series, post-purchase, repeat purchase, browse abandoned, customer win back, review sequences, so forth, like all of these different flows that help automate customers through different customer experiences. And what we found is that when you automate and you optimize those flows, you can be generating 15 to 20+% of your overall e-commerce revenue directly from those flows. And all that requires is a little monitoring and maintenance from a design and strategy perspective. So that's one thing that we also do apart from running all these campaigns. We're also optimizing those welcome flows, or sorry, all of these automation sequences to make sure that they are all working together and we're extracting the most amount of value out of them.
Nice. I love it. I love it. So what do you think are like the most essential marketing flows that really feed into retention marketing
for sure
that e-commerce businesses need to implement into their business?
Absolutely. So I would say the three most important flows that you should have running. One is abandoned cart. So bottom of funnel, people are falling off. Most people don't realize, but throughout the checkout flow process, like when someone comes through and they put in all their information on the shipping page and they click through to the next page, like, oh my God, you just collected their name, their email, their phone number, their address. And if you have a pre-shipped opt-in that allows you to collect that information, you just collected all of it. And now you need to make sure you have the right sequences set up. So having an abandoned cart flow, I usually recommend 3 to 4 abandoned cart emails. We're also doubling down on integrating abandoned cart SMS using Attentive and PostScript. And that's been a big thing as well. So now you're hitting people on email and SMS.
Yep.
Bingo, you collected that. It doesn't really cost you that much more besides having the platform fees to send those. Right? And those are your warmest customers. There's a million reasons why they did not come through. And it's as easy as just having a message. Hey, we noticed you fell off and you didn't finish checking out. Did you have any questions like about if you're a fashion brand, like about the size or the fit? Just message us, or even on SMS. I mean, the cool thing about PostScript and Attentive is they integrate in with Gorgias and Zendesk, and you can actually have a customer service rep that gets a follow-up text. So imagine this, I fall off cart, then I get a text that says, hey, Mark, we noticed you didn't finish your order. Here's a link right here that you can finish placing it right now. Plus, here's a little discount code for you. Or by the way, if you have any questions, please just ping us, get back to us. Yep. They can text you back. Your customer service team that's in the customer service platforms can now text right back and see what the problem is. Hey, I had a question. I wasn't sure if that was going to fit me right. I have a long torso, big shoulders. Like, what do you think? Nice. I recommend that you get a bigger size. Oh, here's an updated link to that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now you just close. Now you're turning your customer service team into a sales team to help close a bottom of funnel. So
love it.
That's one of them. Second one is welcome series.
And real quick, before you go into the welcome series, I've been giving this away on a few other episodes. Let me just give it away since it's so relevant to what we're talking about. So if anybody watching or listening to this wants to get a free set of templates for cart abandonment, email, SMS, ads, Facebook Messenger, all on one Google document that I can just give you for free, all you have to do is just text the keyword CART, C-A-R-T, to country code 1-938-444-8045. So that's it.
Awesome. I would definitely
just want to help as many people. Yeah, I just want to help people out because we're talking about cart abandonment. And we both know, being, e-commerce, entrepreneurs and marketers, that's cart abandonment is huge. And, that's one of the low-hanging fruit opportunities in every e-commerce business, just about, especially newer ones. And so I just really want to make sure that people that are watching or listening to this really take care of that specific area of their business. This way they can get as many sales as possible from cart abandonment.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're not running cart abandonment, you are leaving dollars on the table. It's a massive missed opportunity.
Yep.
So apart from that, going into welcome flow. So, we always push making sure you have a front end of pop-up on your site that's being triggered for new website visitors. And that pop-up should have some type of front end offer that you're able to dangle, that carrot offer in front of potential customers. And we like to say that you should be converting around 5 to 8% of new website visitors into new subscribers through that front end pop-up.
Nice.
And that front end pop-up, hey, it's like, hey, get $10 off your first purchase of $50 or more, get 15% off your first order, whatever it is. That is a tool that you use, to help seal the deal. Everyone wants an offer. No one takes action without an offer. And that's going to help your conversion rate. So if you're spending a couple $100s a day on Facebook ads, map it out. How many more subscribers you can be getting if you have the right offer and the right pop-up. And then just remember too, once those people come through, then they're getting a welcome message. The first one coming through, of course, is, hey, thank you so much for signing up. Here's your promo code. It's good for this time. By the way, here's a little bit more about us. And we like to build out anywhere from 5 to 10 welcome flow emails. And different ideas that we build is we'll build them on we'll share the story, the brand story. We'll go into collections, manufacturing process. If the product has a utility, we'll talk about the utility use of it or how it's used. We'll talk about different testimonials, so reviews and so forth, product features. There's a lot of different things that you can be doing, press features as well, the feature in the press, social proof. There's a lot of different things you can be doing to really build out some ethos and value into your brand and your product as someone's being curated down this first flow. And then the way that we set it up is if anyone makes a purchase, then they get taken out of the welcome flow and then they get put into a post-purchase sequence, which is the third flow. So that's awesome. After
love the segue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. After someone goes through there, then what does that sequence look like after someone makes their first purchase? Well, you might want them to write a review about you. 2-3 weeks go by, ask them to write a review. Another one is, if they write a good review, or you might just send this to everybody, is have them join a referral program. They probably want to refer this to their friends. Let them refer it. There's a couple different referral programs out there we recommend. And getting a referral program going is a great way to now take your own traffic and get them to virally push it to their network, right?
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So things like that. And then of course, browse abandonment. If someone's browsing your site and they're in your database, send them an email notifying them, maybe put an offer in there. There's usually 1 to 3 campaigns in that flow. Customer win back if someone hasn't bought after a certain amount of days. Also, if you have a beauty product or something that has replenishment to it, like a food or a consumable or soap, we work with a couple of brands that are making organic soap or skincare products, and like that's a consumable. So after, you're going to know how long that product should last for that customer. We like to set up a replenishment flow after that. Hey, just a reminder, you bought this product this long ago. You're probably going to want to buy it again. Here's a little offer to get you in the door. Oh, by the way, did you know we also have subscriptions? You can sign up and we'll just send this to you every month or every 8 weeks, whatever it is. So getting that set up. So those are a couple of the flows that we recommend. And then there's also things that we set up, like for instance, a lot of e-commerce brands, they're a digital based company. And then they're for wholesale, they're like, hey, send us an email if you're interested in wholesale. I'm like, why are you even wasting your time about that? Build out a wholesale form, connect that into your sales CRM, and then build an automation flow off of it, telling them about your wholesale program, how it works and how they can sign up. Make them get approved. Tell them you don't approve anyone. Add some scarcity, add some exclusivity to it. So those are things that we do. It's like, you shouldn't be wasting your time, especially if you're a small team, like trying to just chase every opportunity that comes through you. We want to automate as much as that as possible.
Yeah. It's all about focus. I mean, you and I, we share a mentor, and he's always like getting on us about focus. Well, at least me. I don't know about you, but
definitely. I mean, I think I can take it too. Yeah.
Yeah. He's always like distraction. And that's basically a distraction, trying to make money off of a totally different channel with wholesale instead of just focusing on really getting your business dialed in and scaling what's working, which is huge. In your experience with all the different e-commerce companies you've worked with, some of the things we're talking about with all these different flows, what are some maybe common mistakes that you've seen that the audience can essentially watch out for and prevent themselves from making?
For sure. This is a really good one, and it's actually real relevant. I just did a master class with Shopify last Thursday, and this is something I was going over throughout the master class. And a lot of it is understanding the technology, for one. And then
Okay.
two, taking a step back, and before you launch anything, go through the customer journey. Like, what does it look like when that email gets sent? Stop thinking like the business owner or the marketer or the coordinator, whatever it is, and just think like the customer.
Okay.
And that will, first off, if there's any problems with the creative or the messaging or the offer or whatever it is, you're going to notice that towards that test campaign. And a lot of times, like what we've seen brands that we've worked with, for some of the things that they come up with, I'm like, we need to stop for a second and we need to say, does this make sense? Because it might make sense to you, but think about a customer who hasn't thought of this before, hasn't been thinking about this campaign for 3 weeks. So stopping with that. And then I mentioned technology, learning the technology platform that you're using, whether it's 𝐂-𝐈𝐍𝐄, MailChimp, Infusionsoft, Shopify email, whatever it is. Learning how to use the technology and then thinking like an engineer a little. And that
process
is
driven.
exactly, because, learning the technology is going to help you more understand how you build strategic campaigns, especially on the automation end. There's so many levers you can pull that make it so confusing that stopping, really immersing yourself in some of this. And I'm not saying that you need to become an expert. Like, I've been working these platforms for 10 plus years. I'm still learning, but there's a lot to it. But there's a lot that you can do on your own, exactly, to make sure that you're more comfortable with it and you're really getting the most value out of it.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, I mean, you just got to dive in. And yeah, absolutely. You have to know the capabilities of every tool that you're using in your business. This way you can maximize that tool's value for your business. So I love how you're pointing that out.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome, man. Well, I want to be, we're very respectful of your time. So we're going to transition into the last round here for the episode today. And this is like a bonus round. It's kind of a fun little ending to every interview that we do. And basically, I'm going to ask you 4 questions, and you have to answer each question with only one word.
Sweet. Let's do it.
Okay. What caused your biggest e-com success to date?
Sorry, can you say it one more time?
Sure. What caused your biggest e-com success to date?
Jenner. The Jenner family.
Really?
The Kardashians.
Wait. Okay. We got to pause here for a sec. I'm not going to continue with these questions.
Yeah.
You got to tell us a little bit more here on how
I mean, we did.
the Jenners came into
for sure. So back when I was working with the diff team, we were spending a lot of money on influencers, then doubled down on that back of it with paid advertising. And I remember when we did the first campaign launch with Kylie Jenner, and it was like, I call it Kardashian traffic. That's what I call it. It's like anytime we hit like over 30,000, uniques in 30 to 60,000 uniques, it's like, I'm like, oh, that's Kardashian size traffic. So that's what I would, that's awesome. What I would bring back to that. Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. And this was, which brand was this for?
Diff Eyewear. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. And that's now, like you said, a multi 8-figure brand nearing 9 figures, right?
Yep.
That's incredible. That's amazing. This is just a tangent, but the audience might find this story fairly entertaining, and you might as well. So this, I don't know when this was. This was like 2 or 3 years ago. I took my motorcycle out to LA from Phoenix. Went out there for a weekend with a few friends that drove, and I rode my motorcycle, and we went to a concert out there, and then I wanted to stay like an extra day. So they, went back to Phoenix, and I stayed out there, and I drove up the coast taking the PCH.
Yeah.
And I stopped at Neptune's Alley in Malibu. Yep. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. Spot right in Malibu. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I stopped there, I was talking to some other bikers that were there, and I was just like getting like some food, and they were telling me that I guess Caitlyn Jenner, always goes to the Starbucks in Malibu, right? And so I end up actually going to that Starbucks, and I'm like on the patio, just like on my phone before I go inside. And all of a sudden, like this convertible pulls up and parks right in front of me in that first row in the Starbucks parking lot. And I don't think anything of it. I'm on my phone, but then I kind of look up and I'm like, what the hell? And then I notice that is Caitlyn Jenner, and he has a friend with her, and I'm like, okay, and whatever, and they go into Starbucks, and so I guess like she goes to that Starbucks all the time.
Yeah.
So I really liked Bruce Jenner in the show, like a long time ago, when I used to watch the show because of an ex-girlfriend. And it's interesting to see that transition,
That's full transformation. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very,
it's so crazy being up in Malibu. It's such a small little town. Like, it's like you have like a 1 in 4 chance of like running into a celebrity when you're up there, because there's only so many places that they can be.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Yeah. I'd love to run into like Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man or something, All right, well, let's get back to the questions here.
Yeah.
But so next question is, what advice do you have for other e-com business owners?
Resilience.
I love it. Yep. And you had a lot of it, man. Like the stories you told me about, starting your company right after college and, working 7 days a week, basically working in the evenings and doing that for that extended period of time, then transitioning out of that and moving on. I mean, and then all the steps after that. I mean, that's a lot of resilience.
Yeah, I feel I gotta say, I think one of the best characteristics you can have as an entrepreneur, and just realizing that if you're truly in this for the long game, you're going to figure it out. But you have to be willing to accept the cards that are played for you at any given time. And you got to be willing to get better at playing those cards. Yeah. And if something's not working, there's always another venture. There's always another day. Like, kill what's not working, and kill it faster than you would think.
Burn the boats and move on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Where do you feel like that resilience came from in your background, or what drives that resilience?
Good question. So I started working when I was like 12 years old. Okay. Even that was my first paid job, was for a contractor at my middle school who was redoing all the lockers. And I had just turned 12. And I was like working, and I loved to work. And even before that, like I used to go to Europe as a kid, and my dad's uncle owns like a cafe/bar in Croatia. And I would just bust tables for fun, because I was like, this is fun. I get to talk with people. I'm hanging out. And so I feel like I've just always been working, and I really enjoy to work. And when I can double down and focus on something that I really enjoy, it makes me really happy. Like I could not imagine like just being given millions of dollars and being said, hey, sit on the beach. I would have massive anxiety. And so, I would much rather be like, I'm taking 3 days off. Like, the other week I was in the Bahamas on a spearfishing trip, and, I was like literally on the phone on a dock in northern Bahamas, like with one of our designers, and then I'm on with our Ukraine team in the morning, and just like making things happen. And I would rather have that anxiety of making sure, all right, just making sure things are moving smoothly than like, what am I going to do today? I have to fulfill my time. So
I love it, man. It actually reminds me of my first job when I was 14 at a gas station, at a mobile gas station, going up to people that were coming in to get gas. I go up to them and I'd be like, would you like me to pump your gas? It was a great opportunity to get girls' numbers, for one, being 14. But two, that initial energy of like, having a job and just,
and contributing.
When you're 12, when I was 14, if we could all feel that energy, that initial passion that we felt when we first started working, and like go back to that feeling in our day-to-day as adults, I mean, imagine like how powerful that could be for not only our happiness, but also our performance, because it's coming from the right place.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I think you have to be doing things that are making you happy and that are exciting. If you're not doing those things, then you need to change what you're doing. That would be my recommendation to anyone out there.
Definitely. All right. Well, next question. How would you describe yourself?
Man, good question. Man, I hate being put on the spot, but I need to think of something. What's a good word to describe me? I don't know, transparent. I like to tell people how I am. I would say, even better than transparent, I would say empathy. I have a lot of empathy for other people,
Nice.
whether it's team members, whether it's contractors, whether it's potential like opportunity calls that I'm taking with potential clients, whatever it is. I feel like one of the things that I have is I have a lot of empathy and can kind of feel what other people are going through. And I try to frame things that I'm communicating with them around that.
Nice. I love it. That's a really good trait to have. Awesome. Well, last question here. What do you see in your future?
Freedom.
What does freedom look like to you?
Freedom to me means that I can wake up and I have the tools and the resources to be able to do whatever I want.
Nice.
That is freedom for me. Whether it's buying a property, going on a vacation, buying a new boat, whatever it is, like having resources to do whatever I want and control my own destiny.
I love it. Yep. I can definitely resonate with that. That's amazing. And I knew there was going to be a boat involved just knowing you. Well, awesome, man. Well, how can the audience, after listening or watching this episode, how can they follow you, learn more from you, maybe even attend some of the webinars that you're a part of?
Yeah, for sure.
What's the best way for people to do that?
Yeah, so you can look me up on LinkedIn at Mark Milutin or markmilutin.com, MARKMILUTIN. Or you can check us out at our agency at WeBakeBread.com.
Nice.
Or on Instagram at mmilutin, MMILUTIN. That's the tag. So whatever we're doing, I usually try to give everyone a heads up that's following me or in my community and let them know what's going ahead of time. We have another masterclass coming up with Shopify on October 22nd.
Nice.
That's going to be pretty cool. Another like automation email masterclass. So if you're interested in that, hit me up. And they're really fun. We really enjoy it. I usually bring one team member on and we have a good time.
Awesome. Okay. Well, sounds good. Well, guys, definitely go follow Mark. Click on the links below wherever you're seeing this. Now, if you're listening to this, then definitely go to our website, click on our blog, check out this episode with Mark. So this way you can click on the links to his profile and to his website and to his agency. So this way you can learn more from Mark. Mark is an incredible guy. He's an upstanding individual and he does some fantastic work for all the companies that he's involved with. So definitely follow Mark and learn more from him and possibly even hire his company for what they do, which is essential for every business. That's retention marketing. So thanks again, Mark, for being on the show.
Thanks,
I
Josh.
truly appreciate it, man.
Oh, thank you so much. This was a pleasure.
Awesome. Yeah, it was mine. All right. See you, man.
See ya.
Thank you for tuning into the e-commerce performance marketing show. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment with a timestamp of your favorite part and share it with a friend. Until our next episode, here's to you and the success of your e-commerce business.